up on this principle. So it all changed, and we're looking at how it changed. Bank executive central function is to increase shareholder value through selling debt while earning interest and fees. Nothing strange there. Banks have a license to issue paper money and create debt. Who thinks banks lend them money? No one can say yes to the way I've asked the question. Banks don't lend you money. They create debt. They contract you and I to debt. They don't have money to lend us. So when you go to the bank and you say, well, we'd like £10,000, please, they'll say, right, sign this contract to debt. And then they'll just tap a few keys in the computer and create that money because they have a license to do so. Or create what seems to be that money so that it can be used. But what they've actually done is increase the level of debt in society. It's a difficult concept to get your head around sometimes, but that's what's happened. They don't actually give us real money. So when you go for a mortgage, for example, they contract us to a debt of 25 years. Yeah? And then we fulfill that debt obligation. So if the house is worth 200,000, they indebt us to 200,000, but actually they indebt us to more because you've got the interest on top of that. So you've got 250,000 which needs to be repaid. So actually they tap into their computers 200,000, and actually what needs to be repaid in 25 years' time is 250,000 at least. Actually call it 400,000. Where does that additional 200,000 come from? Profit? Well, actually, it doesn't exist. So you need to create more debt. So you have a system of perpetual debt creation. New debt is created to service old debt. And so you have this monster of... Am I speaking Japanese? Yeah, okay. I see the time. Okay. Don't worry, we'll go through it. Banks must favour those who provide collateral over those who don't. That's quite simply saying, if you have, you will be given. If you don't have, you won't. Anybody here want to start a business when they leave university? Can I ask what you'd like to do?
Yeah, I'll start a whole beverage.
Oh, you're not giving too much away here, are you? Okay. Coca-Cola's already been invented.
No, it's better than Coke.
It's better than Coke. Okay. Right, so how are you going to go about raising money? So let's role play here. I'm banker, yeah? You're entrepreneur. Yeah? What degree are you in?
History.
History. Of money?
No.
Okay, so you're a history student, yeah? And you come out of university, let's just assume you have no experience, okay? So what's your pitch? What are you going to be asking?
I've already been to banks, I've been refused those.
You've already been to the bank, you've been refused, right?
Yeah.
This is the point, isn't it? If you have a great idea, and you're a great individual, and you've got great potential, which I'm sure everyone here would say that they have, yeah? But you actually don't own anything for the bank to lend against. It's kind of almost impossible for the bank, under its charter, if you like, under its principles, to lend you that money. Like, where's the security? So banks favour those who own stuff. Okay? Right. Banking origins. I said 400 years ago. We had the goldsmiths in the UK. What did the goldsmiths do? They had lumps of gold lying around, wealthy people, and they decided to create a vault. Yeah? To keep their money safe, because nobody really, there's lots of highway robbery and stuff going on. So they created this thing, and they create a shelf on it, and that shelf is called a bank. And they put their gold in there, they close it up, and then people in the village come and say, well, Mr. Goldsmith, we've got some gold too here. Would you mind if we put it also in your vault? And Goldsmith, yeah, no problem, but there's a fee for, you're renting the space, which is all well and good. Right? What does the Goldsmith do? The Goldsmith loans out money on a one-to-one basis. Yeah? So whatever it has in its vault, initially it's what the Goldsmith owned that will be lent out. Yeah? And remember, everyone who puts gold in is given a paper receipt. Yeah? Given money. That's the birth of paper-based money. You're wondering what currency this is, aren't you? So people people are finding it quite easy now, you know, here's 20, here's 30, here's 40, each trade is continuing, the money's being lent out by the goldsmith. The goldsmith realizes, you know what, nobody's coming back for their gold. So let's lend out everybody else's money too, because you can. And nobody knows this thing, there's no transparency, nobody knows what's in the vault apart from me. So they start lending out everybody else's money without their knowledge. And bankers being bankers, they started to flaunt it a little bit, you know, driving the Bentleys and the Porsches of their time through the village. And the villagers started to get suspicious, saying, well, what's going on here? You're making far too much money. And so they rumbled the bankers, the goldsmiths. But instead of closing them down, they said, we want a piece of the action. Yeah, you're lending this money out at interest, so we want a portion of it. Really? We're not going to get through this then. Okay. To cut a long story short, they were being dishonest. Yeah? So, then we get on to 1 to 9. Now, what's 1 to 9? Because, again, the banker thought, well, you know, people don't really know. People trust these receipts. They trust them. They don't know what's in the bank. Let's just write receipts and just throw them into society. So hence the birth of fractional reserve. So actually what's in the vault doesn't represent what's circulating in society. Then something happened in history, which is quite serendipitous, which meant that this system, instead of this being called fraud, which it is, it was then regulated and backed up with all kinds of economic theory. Why is that the case? Well, we had something called European expansion, where my forefathers and many other forefathers were liberated. That's a joke, by the way. It's where basically money was needed, credit was needed in order for these huge European ventures into South America, into India, into Africa, blah, blah. And hence we have a system today of fractional reserves, and this makes sense to everyone. Yes? Okay. So you can see we're talking about two things here, money creation and the charging of interest. Money creates its fraud. Money creation is fraud in any other system that we care to, or any other way we look at it. Okay, some of the positives of banking, just I'm going to get down on interest completely. Well, it creates wealth. Yeah? Look at all of us these. Aren't we more wealthy than we were before? No, not really. Since 2007, I think we've gone backwards by about 10 years. Minimizes risk. Yes, well, if you're a banker, it does. And this is the nature of business. If you're a business person and you're there making money and you're now secure, you're going to think about ways in which to keep that wealth for your generation and the next generation, the generation after that, or your kind. And as business people always look to minimize risk. And banks have done that it's an art form. Now, we have a system where if the bank does not do what it's supposed to do and completely fails, they'll rely on the government to bail them out. And they know this. They're not to blame, it's just a system they've really created over hundreds of years. Tax revenue. 20% of the UK economy is made up of financial services. Okay, which is why we've suffered quite a lot. The tax revenue off the back of that is immense. I mean, if you get a bonus in the city at the moment, that's going to be what, $1 million? $500,000? 40% of that, and now 50% of that, as the rate goes up, is going to be government taxation. So it's good for tax revenue. Increases home ownership. Well, I'm not too sure about that. It increases the perception that you own your own home. So miss a few payments and you find out who actually does own your home. Okay, some of the negatives. You see a very balanced perspective we have here. Reduces government spend. Governments are totally indebted. They've signed away their rights to creating money. That's now done by private institutions. So governments borrow, and they borrow big. Perpetuates have and have nots. We've already been through that. Fueled artificial asset price growth. Look at the housing market bubble. Banks disproportionately influence industry. If there's a plot down the road and we need a new university building, university hospital or something, or there's a casino that's going to be built on that same plot, and both business proposals are put forward to the bank, who is the bank going to choose? Whoever puts the best business case forward, right? So in a way, that's a crude example.